Guess who's back in the studio? Right now, why not have me critique Superman, like 2025 Superman, because it is one of the most acclaimed superhero films in the past few years, and because everyone has really been gushing over it. I figured, you know what, why not offer some of my own input into it, right? And I know that there's got to be some people out there that feel the same way as myself. Because in all honesty, Superman, it wasn't bad, but I didn't feel overwhelmed at all. I was left with too many reservations for this. I will say that because I've seen Superman from 1978 and the sequel Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve, especially the very first one from '78, that is such a high standard that no one should really think about any subsequent Superman film surpassing it. This younger generation, so I'll check out Christopher Reeve as Superman. A guy that plays Superman, David, whatever, he was charming, he was likable, but he did not have much of an aura to him. When I didn't really care for Man of Steel when Henry played him, but at least Henry had this aura about him. His suit looked cool. It was like armor. Yeah, that was one of the really good things about when Henry would play Superman, was he had this aura almost as high as Christopher Reeve did. But David, on the other hand, I don't think that he really did. Like he had some charm and some likability, but whenever he would come onto the screen, there wasn't much of an ooh-ah like what would happen with Christopher Reeve and with a little bit of Henry Cavill too. And then there's Nicholas Hoult, who played Lex Luthor in this one. Now, don't get me wrong, Nicholas Hoult does a far better job in playing Lex Luthor than when Jesse Eisenberg did in Batman vs. Superman. But the way that Nicholas Hoult plays Lex Luthor, he doesn't play him as this menacing, volatile destroyer of things. Like, because that's what was so good about the previous, before Jesse Eisenberg era, was you had things like the Christopher Reeve era, and where Lex Luthor was such a menace. Even Kevin Spacey was a pretty good Lex Luthor. He was such a viable threat to everything, but with Nicholas Hoult, he's just a whiner teenager, essentially. Which is really weird because Nicholas Hoult has played really strong, powerful, menacing guys before. Like when he did the Mad Max Fury Road, that was a good example of Holt's talent as someone that could be really extreme with things. But unfortunately, in this new Superman movie, yes, he does look like a cool Lex Luthor with his bald head and his facial bone structure. But yeah, like he seemed like a my daddy's gonna sue you kind of teenager. And the thing that I thought was good was that the movie really does a good job in really showcasing who Superman actually is. I mean, like, he's a very nice guy, and he really tries his best to save the world no matter what. And even though this movie got some backlash for being too woke, like, how's it woke having a Superman save whomever? But aside from some of the reservations I had with David and Nicholas, one of the main reasons why I didn't really gravitate towards this new Superman like I really wanted to was because there's been way too many superhero films. Now, I guess superhero films have been around for decades and decades, but because there seems to be how many new superhero movies coming out per year, and this new Superman is no different than any of those multi-zillion dollar CGI extravaganzas. This movie is really no different from all that. If this movie came out in 2013 instead of Man of Steel, maybe people would be thinking differently of it. Well, I know I certainly would, because 2013 was well over a decade ago. We didn't have as many wild CGI extravaganzas as we do right now. So, am I jaded with all these superhero things? I do think that I am. Okay. So yes, even though this movie does have some good, there is likability, there is some charm, but there's a little too many things that just went against me personally. So unfortunately, I do feel the need to give Superman from 2025 2.5 stars out of 4. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you again next time.